Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Mr. Hurricane and it looks like today we've gotten our first news on Madden 24 and I'll be breaking that down. We've got some info from their website at EA and then a couple of news articles as well. I was wondering when they'd start talking about the game. We get closer and closer every year before anything is really dropped. But we know that Josh Allen is going to be on the cover of the game. That was leaked not long ago. And the earliest you can play it looks like, will be August 15th through EA Play. So effectively, we're 69 days out, nice, until the game is available. If we check out the main Madden 24 page on the EA Sports website, it says, rebuilt, rewired, get more control and explosive realism with field sense improvements and new Sapien technology in Madden 24. So the whole rebuilt, rewired, that doesn't surprise me. That's kind of the tagline here for the game, coming off of Madden 23, a game that got more negative attention than normal given all the issues that the game had, especially in the first few months. And Madden's one of those games where it's really only relevant for a portion of the year, and those of you that play franchise like I do know that the draft reset bug that would take you back to a previous draft out of nowhere in your franchise, and sometimes you'd go back multiple years, and this was an issue widespread for players in cloud franchises. This was one of the biggest issues Madden has ever had, and it took them until November 17th to fix it. We've seen this across the gaming landscape, more and more problems with stability and things that were not ironed out in QA before the game release. So we're going to get into the information here, but I just want to lead this video off saying that none of it matters if you drop a game that isn't optimized, wasn't ready, and has game-breaking bugs that will ruin the experience in a core mode like franchise. So rebuilt, rewired, we'll see about that. All I can do is go through the information here. With the draft reset bug taken care of, I've had fun playing franchise here lately. The game has a lot of big flaws I don't like, but overall, I'm having fun with the series I'm doing here on the channel, and you're seeing gameplay of in the background. So we kick things off here with field sense. And this has kind of been one of their buzzwords. They always have like these impeccable marketing terms, but field sense has been the term used to describe the gameplay you'll get on PS5, Xbox Series X, and now it finally seems that PC is going to get the experience that those of us on the newer consoles have been getting. That is very long overdue, but looks to be here in Madden 24. In this gameplay section, they talk about Hit Everything 2.0. Hit Everything expands with new contested catch tackle types that provide more control and tackle variety on defense. Tackle animations are selected more dynamically, which unlocks new and more fluid tackle interactions like wrap and scoop tackles. I've always felt like the tackle variety has been lacking in Madden, especially when you're looking at defensive backs. I'd like to see smaller DBs go low and just show that they have to tackle differently than someone larger and more physical. We got skill-based passing 2.0, dive for a winning one-hander with improved catching AI, thread the needle with surgical accuracy using new throw animations, and anticipate more authentic defensive reactions with enhanced DB behavior introduced in skill-based passing 2.0. That probably means I'm throwing even more interceptions in this game, because DBs already feel pretty smart when they play against me. I don't really know much about the skill-based passing because I've been using Classic, but I think a lot of people prefer the skill-based passing and the control you get there. So just more iteration upon that mechanic that was introduced last year. And then we get down to foundational football and AI enhancements. Smarter AI enables smoother and more realistic player action and reaction to the plays you call, providing more confidence your AI teammates will execute your game plan the way you intend. So within this, there's quarterback awareness and behavior, ball carrier AI and pathfinding, blocking AI and open field targeting, DB awareness and pass coverage, post-play emotion enhancements. Overall, it's hard to take a whole lot away from any of this, but it feels like every year they talk about blocking AI and targeting, but every year there seems to be a lot of the same problems, primarily in pass protection, but you see problems in the running game as well with, fullbacks running past guys they could have blocked, or just targeting a safety and not worrying about guys directly in their face. But I think the offensive line AI and just being able to trust that your tackle is going to pick up, the end with a 4-man rush. I think that the blocking AI stands out as one of the biggest issues in the game at this point. And now something else that's becoming even more apparent with the new gameplay, and I do like the direction they've gone with player movement and stuff, but like when the ball's in the air, I want my receiver to want the ball as bad as the DB does. But at the same time, I think there are still a couple fundamental issues defensively in the game. Primarily, anybody trying to cover a tight end, like that's still been a thing. Tight ends will just feast in man coverage. Average tight ends against average linebackers have a huge advantage. And I feel like anybody trying to play off coverage is just putting themselves at a disadvantage. And I've reverted to playing a ton of press because at least I get good animations off the line if my guys don't get beat off the release. So there's a few things in here, I want to see what they're talking about, but it's a little vague at this point. Then they talk about this Sapien technology, a leap forward in character technology. So I went through another article, and basically they've rebuilt player skeletons, and there are different body types, and players should be more realistic, you would think, than with this change. And then I'm wondering how that impacts different animations, because I'm guessing the skeleton changes also changes the way they'll animate and how certain things look and feel. And while I think it's gotten better on the next-gen gameplay, there's always been something off with the way players just run and move in Madden. Maybe it was more apparent, a few years ago, but I felt like, big budget games and other genres have had better character movement and running than a football game. They also talk about crossplay only on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. And this is going to be for online head-to-head and more. It looks like it's really for competitive stuff, so it doesn't seem that there's going to be cross-play franchise, but it will be for online head-to-head, Ultimate Team, Superstar KO, and Superstar Showdown, which we'll talk about here shortly. Superstar mode is back. They're calling it Superstar the League. So they're done, it looks like, with the story modes. The face of the franchise is done. When Longshot came out the first year, I played that. I'm like, that was fine. I enjoyed that. I actually quite liked Longshot. And then it came back the next year. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't want more. And then it evolves into face of the franchise, and it just never really grabbed my attention. And there's just never really been a great player career mode, I feel, in Madden. And I still feel Road to Glory is the pinnacle of career mode in football games. And Madden's never done it better than NCAA did. So I'm glad that it seems there won't be resources dedicated to this mode that I don't think people really liked. Superstar the League. Achieve greatness in your NFL career with game-changing control thanks to Field Sense. Customize your avatar and build your legacy. Progressing from the combine, the draft pick, to 99 overall. Navigate all new minigames and live player grading across a variety of positions. So minigames are going to be back. Those of you that played, grew up playing franchise on the PS2, that's what I'm thinking right here. Madden loves to bring things back. We've gotten the owner's box, a lot of that back a handful of years ago, and now minigames are making a return. And I think that in a player career mode, the option to develop through minigames could be a fun thing to do. Similar, you got drills and little minigames in Road to the Show and MLB, so I think that can be a solid addition. And they talk about the live player grading, and so I wonder if that's going to be like 2K, where you have your teammate grade based on every little thing that you do, which I I think would be a fine addition. Now they talk about Superstar Showdown. So the yard is also apparently not going to be in this game, but it's replaced by Superstar Showdown, which is a new 3v3 mode. So you progress your avatar and play with and against friends, call your plays on the fly like a dominant superstar. So, you know, I'm honestly probably not going to play it. Oh, this is interesting. So Superstar League and Showdown are not available on the PS4 or Xbox One, but Face of the Franchise in the Yard are only going to be available on the PS4 and Xbox One. So it just seems like, you know, at this point, PS4, Xbox One, you're really getting the roster update and not a whole lot else gameplay-wise. Franchise. This is what it's all about for me. Lead your legacy. Set the stage to be a Super Bowl powerhouse. Upgrade your team with fan-favorite minigames returning. So it's not just for the player mode. Minigames in franchise. You can test your skills with dozens of new minigames, including moving obstacles and destructible targets in franchise training camp or weekly strategy. So that seems like it's going to be a regular thing then if it's in weekly strategy. But it might also just be a replacement for the current like skills trainer drills you can do, like attacking cover 3. So I imagine it's going to be kind of replacing that in a way. Utilize a streamlined team relocation feature with new cities, logos, and uniforms. We have needed new relocation options for a long time, but what I wonder, are you going to stick, you know, can you only be a certain team in a certain city? Like, I want the freedom to go where I want, be the team I want, and are you going to let me make uniforms? I don't really think they're going to do that. It seems like they still want to have like pre-made assets in there for logos and uniforms, but new content there, I guess. I still think they need to do something like they have in 2K where you can just start up a brand new franchise with an expansion team. That is the coolest thing in the world to do. Build your future using Free Agency 2.0 by restructuring contracts and making counter-offers to cornerstone playmakers. Really interested in what they do here and how far they go. You know, will you have players who hold out because they want a new contract, or maybe it affects their morale if you don't do it or won't play? Definitely, free agency has never been quite right. You know, being able to make counter offers, I think, is important, and actually having some sort of negotiation dialogue and not just seeing, like, you know, who else is interested and then having this weird, like, bar system to measure who's offered the best deals. Acquire and retain superstars using 50 new unique draft generators, new trade logic tuning, 6 trade slots, and new talent trees for coaches. So, expanded trade slots. Instead of only having 3, it now appears you have 6 and can really do some blockbuster deals. And then, the new draft generators. So that's something I think they've done a pretty good job of recently, is introducing things like generational talents. And we've gotten to get to know one in my Titans franchise. Where would we be if we didn't have Trayvon Randolph right now, the superstar generational wide receiver? And I also feel like just at different positions now, you've got more archetypes and just more players who offer intrigue. For sure, I definitely notice players where it's like, yeah, you have the same skill set as this guy I got last year. So adding more variety is always nice, but I will say I think the draft classes have improved significantly. Use new commissioner tools to customize your experience in online and offline connected leagues. I don't know what the new tools are going to be. And then mini-games are also going to be playable from the main menu, and there are dozens of new ones apparently. Fans love a variety of high scores to set across offense, defense, and special teams. I'm excited to try out those mini-games. You know, I grew up playing those in Madden, so I definitely love to see those again. Polygon and the IGN put out articles as well today alongside this release from EA. And in the Polygon article, they mention that they're bringing back Rushing Attack along with 25 other minigames. So maybe it's 26. That technically is dozens. Although when I think dozens, I don't think of 26. But that is technically accurate. Also in this article, there is a quote that mentions the addition of dynamic double team blocks and chip blocks. I've needed some chips. I need my tight ends to help out, and I don't want that one-on-one with an edge rusher because that is never a good idea. The IGN article mentions 25 total minigames available at launch, including Close Quarters, which is a minigame where rushers dance around tripping hazards, as well as a passing target minigame. You gotta have that. Like, when I think of the minigames, that's the first one that comes to mind with the bronze, silver, and gold rings. They get into the superstar mode a little bit and mention that there are still some familiar faces from Face of the Franchise, and Chad Ochocinco is there, but it seems like the storytelling and that aspect of it is going to be dialed back. One thing I like is that to relocate a franchise, you no longer have to play as the owner. There's some fundamental differences to playing as an owner versus a coach in Madden, but you've always had to be an owner to move the team. And there are certain things about being an owner versus a coach I didn't like. So now you can do that as a coach if you want. There's also some mentioning in here about an option for adjusting XP allocated to older players, which I think is really cool, especially if it's not just limited maybe to guys over 30. Like, there's always been a tough balance to find in franchise where you've got the existing roster and then all the players drafted within. And it can be very difficult for rookies to overtake veterans because their ratings just don't put them in a good enough position. They don't develop quick enough. There's also apparently the ability to turn off controversial home field advantage mechanics, and I don't feel like they've handled home field advantage very well, or the whole momentum system. When I wanted something like that, it was so that, like, teams on the road would be more likely to commit penalties or make mental mistakes. I think most of the M factors they've called them, they've put in, are just way too video gamey. Like, the Vikings have an M factor where they can get faster in the red zone. Like, that's not what I want to see in franchise. There's also mentioning of adjusting the impact of player motivation, changing up a fantasy draft order, and more. So, more control in franchise, you know, I think is good. Hopefully there's more interesting ones that we don't know about yet. Add in the addition of training camp. So, I don't know if there's a new stage in the preseason for training camp, or if that's just like the mini camp drills, or what they're talking about there. This article also talks a bit more about the new Sapien system and the skeletons. So the player models are split between standard, thin, muscular, and heavy players, and EA is saying that this will bring meaningful changes to animation. So we'll have to see if we notice anything different or not. And that seems to be all the important notes here that we've gotten here with the first bit of news for Madden 24. I don't really have any opinions on it. I mean, we don't have any raw gameplay to look at, and, you know, once you've seen one Madden trailer, you've seen them all, so I'm not going to break down a trailer. There are definitely some things in franchise there that I want to see more about, like the restructuring of contracts and what you're able to do there. I want to see how different free agency is as a result, and if the draft classes just feel like they're getting better. Mini games should be pretty fun. But I think the biggest thing I'm looking for from this game is that there just aren't massive game-breaking problems right away when the game comes out. Like, that's the bar after last year. But there are some more things I hope we can see in this game. Realistically, I want still a more streamlined process for going through draft prospects and comparing players to one another, and just going through menus and your information a lot faster than you can in the current system. They made some improvements from 22 to 23's version, but it's still not as player friendly as it really should be. There also needs to be some overhauling the simulation stats. The quarterback numbers in this game are just outrageous, and there are too many playbooks that are too powerful. That entire I mean, what we had back 10, 15 years ago was better than what we have now in terms of just simulation stats. Then there's the repetitive presentation you see in games, like the same post-game experience now for how many years? How about putting teams' retired numbers in the game, or bringing back the rivalry history? There's still a long list of things I'd love to see in franchise, obviously. If they drop any more information and there's enough to talk about in a video, I'll cover it here, primarily for gameplay in franchise mode. And I'll be doing my Titans franchise here for a little while still. We haven't had a whole lot of success in this one, and we're getting ready for a new season getting underway shortly. So check out the Titans franchise if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you like Madden franchise content. And leave your thoughts down below. What did you think about what they said for the news here so far? Do you like at least the idea of these things being the emphasis? Or what do you think it should have been instead? But that's going to do it for me, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Have a great day.